All right, team. We are now taking everything we practiced, putting it all together to find the volume of a composite figure. We already learned that we can take these figures and split them up into two regular prisms. We already learned how to find all the dimensions. Now we're going to find the dimensions, use them to find their separate volumes, and then use that to find a total volume in our very last step. So we got a lot to look at here. Make sure you're following along and taking your notes. So we see we have a composite figure here, a irregular figure. And the first thing we have to do is we need to go ahead and split this up into two regular prisms. There's two ways we could do this. We could split this up into two regular prisms this way. So we have a top figure and a bottom figure, prism 1 and prism 2. Or we could even split it up, into a left prism and a right prism. So we have prism 1 over here and prism 2 over here, which is actually what we're going to do for the sake of this model. So we're going to have a left prism and a right prism. I'm going to shade prism 1 in orange. I do this so that you can remember which one will be prism 1 and which one will be prism 2. And then I'm going to make prism 2, let's make it like pink. Okay, so you don't need to color yours in. I just did that so you could see left prism, right prism. That's how we split it up. Okay, so first thing we need to do is we need to find the length, width, and height of the first prism, our orange prism. We want to make sure that when we're identifying the lengths, that we're only using the length to identify that prism. So let's go ahead and start with prism 1, our orange prism here. I'm going to go ahead and delete this stuff so we can just focus on the orange one. Here we go. We're finding the lengths. I know length is from side to side. I can see a length back here labeled as 4 inches. Here's a length, and then here's a length, and then I see the number 6 inches. So it's either 4 inches or 6 inches. I need to make sure I'm picking the right one. The 4 inches is talking from this side to this side, which is all the length of just the orange figure. But the 6 inches is talking about the length of the orange figure, the first prism, plus the length of the other prism. We don't want the total length. We just want the length of the first prism, our orange prism. So the length we want is 4 inches. Okay. Now we're going to find the width. The width is from the front of the shape to the back of the shape. So I can see a width back here, here, and here. I can see the width isn't labeled in the front, but I can see it's labeled back here as 3 inches. So the width of our figure is 3. Last one we're going to find is that height, and we're going to make sure only to find the height of our left figure, the one on the prism 1. And we know height is from top to bottom. I can see height right here. I'll label it red. Height's here, here, and here. It's important that I choose a height that is the total height of our figure. Okay? I don't want to choose C because that's only showing me part of that prism's height. I need to find one that shows me the top of my prism to the bottom of my prism. And I can see it was labeled as 4 inches on the left-hand side. So our height is 4. Now, our last step for prism 1 is to find the volume of prism 1. To find the volume of prism 1, I'm going to multiply its length, width, and height. The length being 4, the width being 3, and the height being 4. 4 times 3 gives me a base of 12, and 12 times 4 gives me 48. So the volume of this figure on the left, the prism on the left, is 48 cubic inches. Okay? Now we're going to find the length, width, and height of prism number 2, the pink one. So we're going to start by identifying the length. I know length is side to side. Here's the length. here's a length, and here's a length. Ooh, none of those are labeled. So I'm going to identify the lengths that I see elsewhere. I can see that the total length was 6. That means from prism 1 on the left plus prism 2 on the right equals 6. If I just subtract the length of prism 1 on the left, then that will tell me how much the length for prism 2 is. I know prism 1 had a length of 4. So if prism 1 had a length of 4 and the total length is 6, that leaves me with 2 inches for prism 2 because 4 plus 2 is 6. Now we're going to do the same thinking for width. All right, we need our width. I'm going to go ahead and fix this. And we know width is front to back. So I see here to here, we have our width. Here's a width and here's a width. Ah, this one's easy. They got it labeled for us already. Our width is 3. I know that that's the correct width because it's showing me from this corner to this corner is our width, and we know that that only includes prism 1. So our width is 3. Only one more dimension to find for this one, guys. We just need to find the height now. We only want to find the height of prism 1. So the top of prism 1 all the way down to the bottom of prism 1. So I know from here to here, oops, from here to here, or here to here, or here to here. Ah, we can see it was labeled right here because it's showing us from top to bottom of prism 1. So our height of prism 1 is 2 inches. So these are all our dimensions for prism, sorry, I keep calling it prism 1, I meant prism 2. So these are all our dimensions for prism 2. If we take the length times the width times the height, that will tell us our volume for prism 2. I know 3 times 2 is 6, and 6 times 2 is 12. So the volume of this prism is 12 cubic units. And as we found earlier, the volume of this prism was 48 cubic units. To find the total volume of our whole thing, we would need to add volume 1 plus volume 2, meaning we would need to add 48, make that darker, 48 plus 12 to find the total volume. 48 plus 12 is 60. We would have 60 cubic inches as our final answer.